Or welcome to the studio. In today's video, I am going to continue working on this painting, which is part of a large series. And I'm at a part where it's, I'm at a phase here where it's pretty chaotic. And I started introducing, referencing little drawings. I'm not sure if it's me, if it works. So I thought about it a lot. I was very much not overthinking, but I was thinking this and thinking about what I was going to do. And there is something that happens where you get into sort of some tension when you start to do that, when there's a part, when you want it, some parts, when it really works, it's for me, it's free and it's spontaneous and it works. And if I'm trying to problem solve and I'm getting really hung up on thinking and trying to make it work, sometimes I can see that it looks pretty tense. So that's where I'm at with this piece, and I'm going to work on resolving it, and you can follow that process and learn something as we're going. Hopefully. I may or I may not make it work. What I can say also about where I'm at with this piece, and I should say it goes without saying, if you like this channel, go ahead and subscribe. If you're interested in anything that I do in terms of teaching, I run retreats, I teach online classes, I have pre-recorded online classes, one new one on color coming out. Go ahead and go over to my website. You can find all that information. What I can say about this one, it is old work. I've been building up a couple of layers on top of the old work, so I've encountered a few problems doing that, which namely lumpy texture that I've had to deal with. So I've been working on the lumpy texture issue, and usually when I have lumpy texture I just try to remove it because I don't want texture that I don't find appealing on the painting. And I have also created something that is fairly muddied. I was working wet on wet. So that's, as I was building up my layers, I kept doing the same thing over and over again. I would find some luminosity, the composition wasn't working, I would come back in, I would add light, then a transparent, then a light, and it's not there yet. So I'm going to just keep playing with that. Whenever I see texture that I don't like, I just get rid of it. Alright, I'm going to dive in. I'm going to dive in and I'm really going to play. So I've got my RNF pigment sticks over here, which is my favorite thing to work with. This is probably just going to be an underlayer. I'm going to stop and say one thing. What I can say about working big is be sure to work smaller for quite a while until you're confident and you've got a repertoire of things to choose from in terms of an ability to work with your composition and your color. Small, because if you jump to something big and you try to scale too soon, you'll just panic. It's not worth it. mats. My teacher used to say that. She goes, you know, it's fine, but it looks like you haven't mastered that thing. You haven't mastered that texture. In other words, you kind of let it happen, but then you didn't know what to do with it. So I poke and pick at texture that I don't, you know, that looks haphazard and too lumpy. All right. Oops. I'm just playing here, I'm not sure. If I don't like it, then I'm just going to go over it, and this will just be another layer. I can narrate this for a second. When I start to get too tense, like in this case, where I'm just kind of throwing colors, I'm not really sure what's going on or what's going to happen, I start to deliberately push myself to work faster so that I get out of my head. That's like one thing that works for me, is just grab something and move quickly, and then sometimes my instincts kick in, and that's where cool stuff starts to happen. So that's what I'm doing right now. Because this, I don't know what I was thinking, this big green splotch here, it's working with these colors, but it's not working that great. And then this texture, I want to break this up. This is why we work on rigid surfaces. You can build a lot of texture, and you can also stab at it with your stabbing tools. So this is very old texture. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it, lift it. I don't like it. Oh my God. Oh my God. I made an executive decision. Better. Okay. Animal. This animal wants to appear. If this becomes too crazy after a while, I'll do one color over all of it to unify it, but I'm just going to let it be, become a circus for a while here. I'm just going to work on this lower part. That's another trick when you're working on big, is just stick with one area at a time, other than the whole thing. So I've got a whole set of problems here, and it's coming from this texture that I hate. I can't get rid of it, it's too old. I like this animal. I like this. Problem with working wet on wet. I'm trying to deal with my color. I had a light value, then I added some, I had this little drawing here and I was trying to work with it, and I went with a very bright color. So I want immediately to see what happens if I put a cooler color on top of it. But I have to delay that gratification, because otherwise it's just going to create mud. It'll mix, it'll get muddied, and it's not going to be good. So that's a really important part of painting that I have found over the years, is try to be patient and let things dry, because anything I put on top of this now is just going to get muddy. The yellow wasn't a good choice. What I'm doing now is, because I've made an animal and I like him, I don't want stuff that's too distracting around it. And my distractions are here. I'm using Citrusolve, and Citrusolve lifts a lot of paint, maybe too much for this case, but I want to get rid of this stuff. I don't like it. Painting for a long time. I don't know what's underneath it. I kind of like that. So far I like this animal. I like what's this kind of stuff. I like this little bit here. This is awful. So either I can take some citrus salt to this, scrape it. I think what I'm gonna have to do is bring in some marble dust and manage this with my marble dust. What I'm also doing here, as I'm working on small sections, is I'm just trying to see if the colors, if there's any interesting interaction of color. Even though it's still really messy at this point, I'm probably going to stop for today because I need to let sections of this dry. When it's messy, what I'm doing is I'm just trying to isolate parts of this that I like, and then I'm in advance starting to think about what are the pieces that I might edit. And this whole section here, I'm going to have to edit this out. I noticed that this looks kind of like a little heart-like shape, so I'm going to just emphasize that a little bit without making it too hearty-like. I like that so far. I like this. I don't like that. So I like this. I like this green. I like this line. I like my animal. I like this bit over here. And that's about it so far with this. So I'm going to keep playing and let you watch my process as I go along.